Hey everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Welcome to the Music. Today we have two-time World Series champion. Can you guess? That's right, Gibby. John Gibbons, former manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, has won World Series with both the Braves and the 1986 Mets. And he joins us today on Welcome to the Music. We hope you enjoy.
Hi, the following podcast is brought to you by Radical Road Brewery, the best craft beer in the heart of Leslieville. Find them at 1177 Queen Street East. That's Radical Road Brewery.
Hey, this is Gibby out here. Listen, welcome to the music. Kareem, how are you, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Good, man. I appreciate you. You know that I know I couldn't do it last week. I appreciate you
Yeah.
taking me back, you know.
No worries. How's your health?
Good. You know, I was up there. I was up in Toronto like a week, 10 days ago. And one of my last days there, man, I started feeling crappy. And I flew home on Friday, and it turned out I had COVID.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and you know, I'd had the vaccine. I didn't have any of the boosters, but you know, there's a couple times I thought I surely I have COVID, but it turned out negative. And my wife and I thought we both got by, skirted it right. Now she's got it right now. So,
Oh no.
yeah, she's in the tail end. Yeah, so
After-
I guess it's our turn.
After all these years.
Exactly. You know, exactly. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. It is an honor and a privilege to speak with you. So,
And likewise, man.
Yeah.
Now, are you in Toronto there, or where? Are you at?
I'm in Toronto. And where am I calling you? Where are you at? Where's home for you now?
San Antonio, Texas. I
Wonderful.
pretty much grew up here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're somewhere warm because you got a t-shirt. And
Oh,
I've got the hoodie on still. So
hey, when I was up there, man, it was like summertime. Has it gotten colder again?
oh my goodness, cold. Oh, my sister recently moved from Toronto to a place in between LA and San Diego, a little town called Temecula.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I told my wife last week, I said, I can't stand this. We need to move. We've lived here all our lives, but we need to move somewhere more.
Hey, I can't blame you for that.
My goodness. And you guys would have been like when you were managing Toronto. So I went to game 2 of opening weekend,
Okay.
and the dome was open and it was hot.
Yeah, that's when I was up there, you know. But I watched it from the hotel room. But it's like, yeah, that's unusual though.
Yeah.
It's never that warm.
No. Did you have a chance to tour some of the new stuff that they've built out?
Yeah, you know, I had to go do like this little commercial thing. I didn't get to walk around, see, but I could kind of. It was up in one of the suites. I could kind of see it off. It really looks really nice.
Oh, they've done a bang up job in the outfield.
Yeah.
As a fan, as someone going to the game, I never wanted to sit out there before, but now those are like prime seats. Those are like really great seats now.
Good. Well, good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I like that stadium. You know, it definitely needed some upgrade, but you know, I love the location of it. It's just got a great feel. You know,
Yeah. What do you think of the team this year?
they're good, man. They got a shot to win it all.
Really?
They really do.
Those
Yeah,
are
I
your
think they do.
Okay.
You know, they're going to get in. You know, with the extra wild card stuff now. They're some catastrophe would have to happen for them not to get in. And you know, but they could go on to win it all.
Yeah. Do you still follow the game? Do you still follow the team? Do you still follow the teams that you've worked with in the past?
Yeah, you know what? You know, I do this podcast.
That's right.
And we focus primarily on the Blue Jays, you know, so I kind of keep track. Plus, you know, I spent so many years there.
Yeah.
Kareem, that it's you know, I'll always be a Blue Jay, you know.
Oh, that's amazing to hear.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. I tell you, I miss that place terribly.
Toronto or the Dome or?
No, Toronto. You know.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I do have to say, my brother and I were going to a concert a number of summers ago, back when you were managing the team, and we're walking to Ontario Place. I don't know if you remember that area. And you won't remember because you've met millions of people while you were managing Toronto. But we walked by as you were going for a run along the lake.
No way.
And it was like, I looked at my brother, you're coming, I go, is that Jonathan? Is that Gibby? Is that? And yeah, and it was like, he's a runner?
No, he's not, but he's trying.
He's trying.
No, I used to do that. I used to do that sometimes. I love going down that lake. They did such a nice job with that place down there.
Yeah, yeah. And you were, I've never been one to like swarm anyone, but it was like we were starstruck. That's Gibby, and you.
Oh gosh!
And you said hi to us, and it was like, all right.
That big fat guy jogging.
Listen, you looked great. You looked great in a t-shirt and shorts. The uniforms you were wearing when you were managing, they didn't fit you well.
Because I was trying to hide some stuff.
You were. Listen, a couple of years ago. But I think as you were thinking about writing this book, we had an opportunity. My regular co-host Greg and I had an opportunity to actually interview your good friend John Arezzi, about his book that he put out a few years ago. And
he talk about a screwy life, about his life.
Oh my goodness gracious! And to see that you guys are doing this podcast together, it's like, wow, that's nuts. But you have, listen, but I need to do this before we continue. Your book, when I read it, it's called Gibby, of course. Fantastic book. My brother came over a couple of days ago and I said, listen, I think I'm going to interview Gibby soon, but you need to read this book. And I gave him your book. And it's amazing. Like,
hey man, thank you. That's good fantastic to hear. I didn't know how it would go over. I thought, well, hopefully people get a little chuckle out of it,
Yeah. Now, did he like coerce you into doing that book? Like, did you think of ever writing a book?
No. You know what happened when my last day in 2018? I knew I wasn't coming back.
Okay.
And so I was saying we finished at home, and then we were going down to Tampa, and then the season was going to be over. But there's like 3 or 4 of the writers that covered our team. They're good writers, good baseball people. They'd all written books, and they all said to me at different times, "You go, hey, if you ever write a book, I want to write it." I'm going. And so the first time guy told me, I said, "Really? Okay, whatever." The next time somebody said, I said, this other jerk, he thought to say, he asked me that. What are you guys crazy? So it was it never entered my mind. Even when they mentioned, I thought I have no interest in that, and because I didn't think there would be a whole lot to it. I didn't think. How could that be very exciting or whatever? So I kind of put that off. And then a couple of years later, John approached me, and I knew he had written his book, right?
Yeah.
And then he put me into he had a publisher, and then he brought up Greg, and so why not have a little fun with it, And really, what it came, because I didn't know Greg. I felt so bad. I was such good friends with all the other 4 that said they wanted to write it.
Oh my goodness!
I can't. I don't know. I can't fairly pick one of them. They're all so good. So I went with Greg, because who John recommended, who wrote his book and has done a lot of good things. He did a nice job with it. Yeah, but no. To answer your question, no, that was never on my mind. I thought, you got to be kidding me.
My goodness! So the book is called Gibby: Tales of a Baseball Lifer. Greg Oliver helped you out with the book. There's a lot of great tales in that book, and I want to ask you about some of the characters.
Okay.
In that book, and Toronto fans we it's weird. We love, like, you and Cito are like our two favorite managers, I believe, Toronto baseball fans. You guys obviously, Cito bought the first championships, and there was something about you. Um, you're okay if I call you Gibby? Is that all right?
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Hey,
But
Cito's from San Antonio, my hometown.
okay. You guys hang out, grab beers together, coffee.
No. I think he's living down in Florida now. He's down there in
Okay.
he's Sunshine State. Yeah, he
Yeah.
likes that.
I wanted to ask you, and he's a good friend of yours who writing the book, JP, who ran the Blue Jays, and I believe he hired you.
Right.
Tell me about. Not a lot of Toronto fans know JP, I think, unless they read your book. Tell me about JP. Why is he a good friend of yours? Why is he a great guy?
Well, you know what? When I got drafted in 1980, and in 1981, well, no, 80 that summer, we played together, right?
Yeah.
He's from Boston, I was from Texas. Actually, my mom and dad are both born and raised in Boston, so we had that connection. But JP, he rubbed some of those Toronto fans raw a little bit because he's brash and he's typical Bostonian, man. Wears it on his sleeve, talks down to you, So we were roommates, and then for a couple of years we played together. And then he got cut loose and he went to another team. Went to the Yankees, I think it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So then he went out. Then Billy Bean, the Moneyball famous Billy, was also in our clique. And then eventually when we all stopped playing, Billy went out. Was running the A's, and JP went out there and worked for him as his right hand man. Yeah. But we'd always keep in touch. And then one thing led to another. When I was looking for a job, JP ended up getting the Toronto job, right? And he was helping me try to find one. And it came out of the blue for him there in Toronto. But one of the best baseball guys you'll ever meet. But he's typical. He's a typical Boston guy, right? He's gonna tell you what he thinks. He ain't gonna hold back. And you take it or leave it, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic. And related to that, because you, JP, John Arezzi, you guys like room.
Yeah,
you guys
we roomed
roommates
together.
Yeah,
1981. Yeah,
and you talk in your book. Throughout your book, there's these stories of, making promises with people in the minors. That if one of you gets the opportunity, you're gonna see if you can bring some of your buddies along that you were in the baseball trenches with, so to speak. And that's, so JP hires you, you bring some people on when you start in Toronto. Tell me about, that's almost like a brotherhood, in baseball when it comes to, not on the player side, but on the manager side. Tell me about that brotherhood, if you could.
Yeah. You know what? There's some guys you come across, you befriend, either whether you're playing with them, playing on the same team as them, or even coaching with them, depending on what your job is, that you just really click with. They become more than just their friends or their colleagues. And and it's kind of one of those deals. Hey, it's kind of far fetched because it's so hard to get to the big leagues in any capacity, right?
Yeah.
Especially you could pick some guys if you're a coach. So we'd say, hey, if you get there, man, if you get to the big leagues, man, hey, make sure you bring me, and vice versa, and all that. And a lot of us were just laughing and joking and because none of us are going to get there, right? But sometimes it happens, and it's kind of like anything else, your friendships, and you got to know somebody, you got to have a sponsor, and you got to leave a good impression. They got to be able to trust you, and I wish there was more guys I could have given an opportunity to when I was managing there, but we had such good coaching staffs, and you're limited on what you can have.
Yeah. Pete Walker. You've got these parts in your book where at the end of chapters, you sort of like highlight people. And I think
Right.
Pete Walker's one of those people, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about Pete Walker, how you met him. You coached him, I believe. And I
Yeah.
don't remember him as a Blue Jay, but he's like a pitching guru now for the Jays.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When I was before I ever came to the Blue Jays, I was coaching with the Mets in their minor league system.
Okay.
It's in AAA. And so 1 year I was managing there. Pete Walker was one of my pitchers. And
wow.
Yeah, that would have been 2001, I think. Yeah. So anyway, excuse me. So anyway, then JP brings me to Toronto in 2002, right? Was it 2002? Or it was 2002. And I'm getting old, man. Getting old. So anyway, so Pete was on the roster with the Mets. He might have even been in the big leagues. But anyway, they designated him where it means so any team could grab him if they wanted him, right? Because Mets were taking him off their roster.
Yeah.
So I told JP, I said, listen, I think this guy can help us because, in Toronto, our team wasn't very good. We needed pitching,
Yeah.
So JP grabbed him and he came over there and pitched for us in Toronto for that year and did a nice job, Then I'm not sure what happened, where he went after that. No, he might have gone to Japan.
Okay.
And anyway, so I ended up getting fired and moving on. And then he becomes a coach in the Blue Jays system.
Yeah.
And then, eventually my second go around, when I took the job in 2013, he was the bullpen coach. And John Farrell was a manager. So when I became manager, I said, this is my guy. So we made him the pitching coach.
Yeah.
He's been doing it ever since. He's one of the best in baseball.
That's crazy. What makes these coaches good? Like, is it they don't necessarily need to be like a great player, but there's something about, I don't know, is it their communication with the pitchers?
Yeah.
What is it?
I think, I think it's that, you got to be able to relate to your guys.
Yeah.
You got to be able to get the most out of them. They got to trust you, if they trust you that, you have their best interest at heart or whatever, what, you got them, right?
Yeah.
But then you got to have, of course, you got to have knowledge and, a pitching coach is very tough, but, so you got to have a great understanding of how the mechanics of it all work. Right.
Yeah.
And then, but Pete just had this great, connection with all his guys, and he's very smart and he's very good at making corrections or noticing things that needed to change.
Okay.
And he's just a first class dude. They all love him, and that's he's one of the best in the game.
He's fantastic. Did you and Schneider ever, was he on the team or a part of the organization when you were here?
Yes, yeah. Well, Schneid, he when I was managing, he was coaching an A-ball.
Okay.
Right. And but he lived down there in Florida, where in the Dunedin area where we had spring training. So he was always down there early. So all the players on the team, a lot of them would come down early, and he'd always throw batting practice, and then we'd start spring training, and he would help us out by throwing batting practice, hitting ground balls, whatever you needed him to do, right? But we'd always make sure we kept him around as long as possible because he was such a good coach. And then the organization was really high on him, really liked him because they always sent like their top players to, like Vladdy Jr., Bo.
That's right.
Those guys, played for him. And so that's what teams will do that in the minor leagues. If they got they get a manager, a coaching staff that they're top guys in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
They'll make sure they connect them a lot of times with their best playing prospects. And then eventually, they may all climb the ladder at the same time. Is kind of what happened.
Yeah.
And now John's managing, and those guys are playing for him.
That's fantastic. Tell me about Alex Anthopoulos. He was your boss for a bit here. He brought you to Atlanta with him. It was like a boy genius. Started in Montreal, I don't know, in the mailroom or something.
Yes, yeah.
Something like that. Tell me about working with Alex, his baseball mind as you know it.
Well, when JP was the general manager, Alex was one of his assistants. That's
Yeah.
how. But he did. He started out in. I think the story goes. There used to be the gentleman that was running the Expos, Omar Minaya. Before they folded him.
Yeah.
Alex just wanted to get into baseball. I think his father had I think it was an electrical business.
Okay.
And he had 3 brothers, and his dad passed away, and so the brothers were running the business. He didn't want to do that. He just he loved baseball, right? And so he just wanted to get his foot in the door. So I guess he went down to spring training, and he said every morning he'd go to the field and just wait for Omar Minaya to show up to see if he could get some kind of job. So finally one day he was there, and Omar showed up, and he said he introduced himself, said, "I want to get into baseball, blah, blah, blah." And he really impressed him. And so he said, "All right, well, basically I can't pay you anything, but I got a job to be the gopher, right? I guess."
Yeah.
So he did that, and that's how he got his foot in the door. And then he worked his way up, and next thing you know, he's in Toronto.
Wow.
As assistant general manager for JP Ricciardi, and that's how I got to know him, right? And then when JP eventually got fired, Alex became the general manager, and then eventually he brought me back my second go round.
That's crazy.
It's that buddy network, man.
Yeah, yeah. And then he brought you to Atlanta.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, are you still with me?
Let me see.
Maybe your battery's gone out on your headphones. Your mic is off. Can you hear me? Your mic is off. You muted your mic. You muted your mic. Can you hear me? Your mic. I think you muted your mic on Zoom. There you go. You're back. There you go.
Okay. All right.
There you go. You're back.
Hey, dude, I am so un-tech savvy.
That's a nice mic. That's the blue, I think, right?
I think so.
Looks like so. Yeah. It's the same one I got.
At least you know what you're doing with it. I don't know. I figured it.
This is all magic. Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. Yeah. I was listening to one of your episodes, John. You weren't a big fan of the home run jacket.
Oh, were you? Did you like it?
I didn't mind it. You didn't like it. I know there was a bunch of people on Toronto Sports Radio that didn't like it. I'm like, whatever, No,
well, the game is, put it this way, I'm obviously a little old fashioned. There's no doubt about it, But it just drove me nuts. Like the team could be losing by 10 runs and they hit a home run.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, how about a little respect for the fans, a little integrity here? We're getting our butts kicked.
Yeah.
But it was almost like each team's trying to outdo the other ones, and it's almost like it used to be unwritten rule in baseball. I know the old unwritten rules. You don't show other teams up too bad.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a sportsmanship thing, whatever it might be. Want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's who can outdo who, and because it used to be in the game, if you're over celebrating, you hit a big home run, kind of like the Batista thing. The pitcher would drill you, that's how you stopped it, but that's kind of changed. Maybe I've loosened up a little bit, not that much. Actually, it's funny. I read today.
Yeah.
I guess down in Atlanta, they were wearing like this oversized hat, right?
I saw that on one of the sports shows. Yeah, I saw somebody wearing a big hat.
Yeah, but I guess the hat maker for Major League Baseball, is it New Era or something, right? Complained to the league because something about it's a hat and that they got the rights to it. So the Braves can't do that anymore because they were infringing on.
That's hilarious.
Hat maker. Yeah,
that is hilarious. Oh my goodness. Let me see. What other baseball? Oh, I need to ask you this. Did you watch the World Baseball Classic?
Yes.
What did you think of that? It seemed like it caught so many people's attention that otherwise would not have watched baseball.
Yeah, it's been really good for the sport. I always had kind of mixed emotion because when I was managing, when I came back in 2013, we had like a bunch of guys who went played for, right? And so you got a bunch of new guys on the team. You're trying to get them. As a manager and a coach, your focus is your major league team, not your country team, right?
Yeah.
And but it's also good for the game. So and as a manager or coach, you always fear the injury or something. And two of the best players in the game got injured.
Yeah.
It's not like you can get injured in spring training again, but it's just not as likely, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the New York Mets lost their top relief pitcher, might cost them a chance to get in the playoffs this year because they were celebrating when they won.
Yeah.
He was from Puerto Rico. And he blew out his knee.
Crazy.
Yeah. Those things don't happen too often, but it's like, it's almost like the home run jacket, right? Are we trying to focus on winning the game, the important things, or are we worried about the world attention in this tournament, or are we worried about the Toronto Blue Jays winning the World Series? That's kind of what it was.
Fair enough.
It's a little bit it's selfish, bit selfish, but it's been great for the game, and I did watch the game, so I'm definitely intrigued too.
Yeah. Have you ever seen? Well, let me ask you this way: the best baseball player that you ever saw play while you were managing in baseball?
Gosh, who's the best player? That's a hard one, I saw Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr. I've seen Trout. I've seen Delgado.
Tell
Batista.
Let me ask you about a couple of those guys. So, because Trout is in the West, we don't, here in Toronto in the East, the highlights packages and stuff, maybe the next day we can see him. Obviously with YouTube, you can see all of the highlights anytime you want. But tell me about Trout. What makes him so special?
You know what? That's a good. He just does everything so easy. He's just a big, strong kid that's a great hitter, got tremendous power, can run. He can do a little bit of everything. The sad part is that the team never gets in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So now they arguably have the two best players in baseball, Ohtani and Trout, and they still might not get in. But Carlos Delgado is one of the great players and top of the Blue Jays. He never got to the playoffs with the Blue Jays, so sometimes it doesn't matter. It just shows you in a team sport, you got to have some pretty good players around you too. You can't one guy ain't going to win it for you.
Yeah. So Delgado was with the team while you were here on your first go around. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was, I don't think, at least, I was maybe too young or too naive to think that, to know greatness, but he wasn't far off from, 500 home runs. He was close.
Oh yeah, Carlos had a great career, just a great hitter, just a great human being. I hope he gets in. Freddie McGriff got in this year. I hope Carlos gets in.
Yeah, McGriff was a special player. I remember him just before the Jays started making that turn.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
He had the biggest forearms from what I can remember. Fred McGriff, just massive forearms.
Big old guy, big old donkey.
Yeah. Listen, I got a couple of questions from some listeners.
Okay.
So Aneez from Whitby. I don't know if you ever came across Whitby while you were in Toronto. It's east of Toronto.
Okay, I know the name.
Yeah. So here's his question. It is said that rock stars want to be athletes and athletes want to be rock stars. Adam Wainwright sang the National Anthem on opening day in St. Louis. What's the most John Gibbons rock and roll moment in the clubhouse or on the road?
What's my most rock and roll moment? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a big fan. I used to, every chance, the Budweiser Amphitheater down there in the water, they always have these great concerts.
Yeah.
If we get like a day off or a day game and a show was playing over there, always go over there, right? I guess Geddy. I became friends with Geddy Lee. I grew up as a huge Rush fan, right?
All right.
They were big down here in San Antonio, Texas. Another one, Triumph, another Toronto band. They were big down here too, man. San Antonio likes just like good rock and roll, right?
Yeah, yeah. I had a chance to.
Oh, what do you write? Some poems?
He's like a professor. He had a book of poetry.
What a tremendous guy, man.
Oh my goodness. Rick Emmett, salt of the earth.
His son was a pretty good baseball player. He went over to the U.S. and went to college to play baseball.
Really?
So Rick a couple of times brought his son out. And he worked with a couple of our coaches for this kid, and then but Triumph and Russ were huge. But so anyway, before my second stint in 2013, Russ came through town at the end of 2012. And since I was going back to Blue Jays, somebody got me tickets and went there and got a chance to meet Getty, and then went backstage. All they want to do is talk about baseball, man. I thought, damn, this guy, man, you talk about in tune with baseball, especially the Blue Jays. Shoot,
yeah.
Getty's on the ball, man.
And you'll see him. I don't know if he goes anymore, but you'll.
Oh yeah, right behind home plate.
Yeah, always see him there.
He's still there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that's my rock and roll moment.
Nice. Hanging out with rock stars, eh?
Oh yeah. But but who'd have thought, man? When I was a senior in high school, listening to both those bands, and then someday, I'm up there, not too far from them.
Joshua from Scarborough asked this question: while you were a Met, was there such a thing as walk-up music? Today players come up and their favorite song plays.
No, that's another thing. I don't know when that started. Did that start? No, they didn't have any of that. It's kind of, I guess you could say that was back there. It was boring baseball. All it was about was winning and losing, man. It wasn't the circus.
If today you were playing, though, let's say you're playing today. What they're going to ask you, hey John, when you go up, what song do you want to play? What would you say?
Well, you know what, Marty Starkman, who's does a lot of the stuff for the Blue. Marty. Anyway, when my last couple of years they were managing, when I go out to make a pitching change, they would play music. She asked me what I want. It's Simple Man, Lynyrd Skynyrd, man. That's my song, man.
That's your favorite song. That's right.
Yeah.
Nice. Did that like drive? Was there adrenaline rushing when you heard that song? As you're going to go pull the pitcher out? Or?
No, man. It just kind of mellowed me out, man. Simple. I just had to remember how simple I was. Don't be too sophisticated.
Just fair enough. Listen, John, we talk a lot about music on this podcast, and my co-host Greg would say, I'd love to talk to Gibby, but how can we talk about music? So we've already talked about Rush, we've talked about walk-up music, but you've got a lot of pictures behind you, and is that your daughter?
Yes.
Your daughter has played in the Skydome. She's played at the most famous venue in Toronto, the Horseshoe Tavern. Is she still playing in a band?
No, it's kind of interesting. She when she was a little girl, she'd always prance around the house, actually thinking she was like Reba McEntire, singing, kind of dressed up. But she never did any formal music. She was never in choirs or anything like that. But she always kind of. She had a nice, sweet, soft little voice, right? And this when she came to me when she was in college and said, Dad, I want to learn how to play the guitar. I said, well, go buy you a guitar and learn how to play. So she did, right? And then she had a couple friends. One of them, actually, she had a professor. He was the drummer in a band, and a couple of her friends and a couple of classmates, were the other part of the band, right?
Yeah.
So they needed a backup singer one night. And so they asked her if she wanted to do it. So she went and did it. Right. And then like a month later, the lead singer, the girl, she was, quitting the band. So now they need a lead singer. So she started singing. Right. And she's got a great gift. I think, I'm a little biased. I'm her old man, but but she's very, very talented. And she wrote some really cool songs and kind of deep though, so anyway, so they had the band going, and then every year they'd have the country western weekend in Toronto.
Yeah.
At least back then they have it, and they bring in some bands from across Canada, local bands. And on every Sunday, on that Sunday they'd play in between innings, right? So they were, the Blue Jays were nice enough. They brought my daughter's band up, and so they got to play. But the night before, that's when they were at the Horseshoe Tavern.
Okay.
Yeah, really just a cool experience, but then COVID hit, and so shut down all the music venues, around here and all that. So she had her teaching degree. And so she started teaching, and she's finding how bad the U.S. Education system is now. She was going to save the world. Now she's pulling her hair out.
Oh my goodness! Now is there correct me if I'm wrong? Is there a Triumph connection? Did she do some stuff with? Was it Gil?
Gil, he's got a recording studio up there in Toronto somewhere. He let her band. They recorded a couple songs at his place. Yep.
That must have been a thrill.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, so many people have been good to me. They've been good to my family too,
that's so good to hear.
Yeah. I've been blessed, man.
Tell me about this story about Garth Brooks and the Mets. Like, was he filming a documentary about baseball, or did he seriously want to play? What's that story?
No, you know what? He started. I'm trying to think what he called it. What do you do? He'd go to spring training, he'd raise money, I guess, for his foundation.
Okay.
And it would highlight, whatever his foundation was about. And but he'd always wanted to play baseball, I guess. And he wasn't bad, so I'm sure he played somewhere along the line. But I know he did it with the Royals one year. I think it was. I think he did it 3 times with 3 different teams. But this one year he came down with the Mets down to Port St. Lucie. Most incredible guy I've ever. It's unbelievable, this guy, right? Oh, Garth. So anyway, so he go out there. He put his uniform on. He go through everything the team is going through. Everybody's thrilled because it's Garth. He's the top dog then too.
Yeah.
And then after the team was finished with the workout, they'd leave and go home. Garth, he had this one coach, his name was Tim Foley, would always stay after with him to work on, they do extra hitting, or they'd work on his defensive, ground balls or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he'd stay out there for about an extra hour. And then he'd come in, and you would not have believed the crowds that came down. The Mets always have big spring trainings anyway, but now you got Garth there. I mean, the lines are incredible, right? He would sign every autograph. You'd have people on the phone go, "Here, can you say hi to my boyfriend, girlfriend?" And he'd take the phone, and I mean, it was incredible. And he did not cut anybody short. I've never seen anything like it. And then we were standing on the field one day, and I was kind of standing within earshot of him. And this was before his first wife. I think her name was Sandy, before he married Trisha Yearwood. But he they had brought this family down, one of the Make-A-Wish. This little boy, I think he had cancer, he was terminal cancer. And he had a wish to go see baseball, and Garth Brooks, right? So they brought him down, and he was with his sister and his mom and dad, and they were standing there on the field kind of with us. And I'm in earshot of Garth. So Garth takes out his cell phone, right? And I remember he calls his wife Sandy, and he's got like three little girls. They were down there as well. And he said set for dinner tonight 4 extra plates, right? So he brought this little boy's whole family home with him that night, and they had dinner with him and his family, and the most incredible thing, And it's funny though. One time we were sitting in the dugout, and this was with Shania Twain, a good Canadian girl.
Yeah.
Was top notch too. I think they were like neck and neck and like for all the award stuff and all that. And I was kind of standing down at the end of the dugout with some of the players before the game started. And Garth asked the question. He goes, "Hey guys, help me out here. What is it about Shania, man, that everybody likes?" Everybody's going, "What are you?" Yeah, Garth, everybody likes you, man, but she looks like she's a heck of a lot better looking than you, dude. But it was like dead serious, and it was like because Shania was just as big, at that one point in time,
That is so true. Oh, that's a fantastic story. That's a
Yeah.
fantastic story. This just came into my head. Um, do umpires look to get kicked out of games on purpose?
They look to
You
kick me out on purpose, or
like
anybody.
no, like did you? Well, let me ask you this, John. Did you ever go up to an ump and say, "Listen, just kick me out. You need to kick me out." Like, I
No,
think
but no, but I.
you talk about it in your book. I think, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I have plenty of ejections. You know what? I know. I never say, "Hey, get me out of here." But I know the magic word, man. You start calling them.
Okay.
You start calling them names. Now you can argue all you want, right?
Yeah.
If you know good, well, you're gone. So if you wanted to get ejected, just start calling them names, and they're guaranteed.
Wow. And what like are you looking to get kicked out because you're not feeling good, or is it like this is gonna rile up the guys?
No, no, you know what? I never faked anything.
Okay.
And I never people would ask me, "Is this to fire up your guys?" No, because that doesn't work. But there's times I'm tired if teams playing bad or we're just not a very good team. I get tired of watching it, man. So I'm ready to get out of there. A couple of days, let me get the heck out of here, man. Let somebody else manage this crap.
That is hilarious. Listen, I need to show you this. I need
What
to
you
show
got?
this. Oh my goodness, this is like cost me an arm and a leg.
Let's bring her rain, ain't it?
Yeah, that's Springer Rain. That's the bat flip.
Oh,
But that's the I can't even see.
you got the lineup card there?
That's the lineup card.
From which game?
Hold on a second. Let me get my earplugs back in. Yeah, there we go. That's the lineup card.
Was that from Game 5?
That's the game.
No way, dude.
That's
That's awesome.
This is a copy. This is not.
Well, no, I know, but still.
Yeah, this is not the real thing. But like just looking at that scorecard, I don't know how good you can see it on there. But
Oh yeah, I can see it.
that has got. I remember, people ask, where were you when? And there's not many things in history that I remember where I was when such and such. I definitely remember where I was when 9/11 happened.
Right.
But I remember where I was. Exactly where I was, exactly where I was standing. The bar that I was at that doesn't exist anymore. Where I was standing, I know who I was with. I know what I was eating. I know what I was drinking. And oh my, John, tell me, as a fan, you've probably heard it so many times from fans over the years. What an inning. What an inning it was.
It's incredible. It was just the way that the inning started. with the ball hitting when Russell Martin's throwing it back, and then nobody knew the rules, right? I didn't know the rule. I thought I had been around the game for a while, and the umpire threw his hands up, dead ball, right? Okay,
Yeah.
it's dead ball. So I'm thinking, gosh, dead ball, right? So Odor comes to our enemy number one later in the following year. He comes in to score. They got the lead, but it's like the umpires weren't even sure, so they got to call New York and what have you. So finally they get it right, and they do take the lead. And but you remember that place was erupting, man. If we don't win that game, man, the umpires don't get out alive, man.
They don't.
So, anyways. But then it was like the baseball gods. They took over. They said, "But no, the Blue Jays are going to win this thing," because things started happening. Because the Rangers had a really good defensive team.
They had a great infield, third baseman.
Oh yeah, they all won Gold Gloves, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, but things were happening that never happened to those guys, right? But there was the feeling you got inside that dome, it was like shaking, and you couldn't even think straight because it was so loud. So a player down the field, the pressure of that, and things are starting to roll the wrong way. You could see how that happens, right? And then of course, 22 years of frustration built up, right? Yeah. And then the perfect guy comes to the plate, hits the big home run, then flips the bat. It's like, Joe Carter hit the game-winning walk-off game. So this is just is going down in history as just as big a home run as that one will. And that one won it all. Just because of everything behind it, right?
Yeah.
The drought, the guy. It couldn't happen to a more perfect guy. Batista was the guy. If somebody else hit that home run, it wouldn't have been the same as if Jose hit it.
Yeah.
It just and then our young guns, Sanchez and Osuna shut it down, and it was like, it's hard to it's hard to describe really, how everything happened, and sometimes you just get out of the way, man. And like I said, the baseball gods, they took over, man.
Like if people didn't believe in God before that game. And they were a Toronto Blue Jays fan.
They are now, man.
They are now. They went to church on Sunday.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. Tell me Bautista, that era of the Blue Jays, just my favorite player. Tell me about Bautista as a ball player, as someone that you managed, as someone in the clubhouse. What kind of a guy was he? What kind of a player was he to coach?
How would I describe Jose? You know what? It's funny. He wasn't well liked around baseball because he was an emotional guy. He wore it on his sleeve.
Yeah.
He kind of had a chip on his shoulder because early in his career, he felt he got slighted, never got an opportunity. He didn't, and then he didn't make his name till he came to Toronto.
Yeah.
Right. When he got a chance, they threw him out there every day. Go get him, Jose. So he was probably the most focused guy I've ever managed. The guy that he's going to maximize whatever he's got left in his career. Right.
Yeah.
And he would never take a day off, even if he was banged up, because he understood people paid to come watch him play, right?
Yeah.
And he was also going to get every bit of he could have his career, make as much money as he could, and to do that, he had to be out there on the field. And he just had that. Jose just had that knack of rising to the occasion, and he loved being the guy, right? And they all don't want to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure that comes in. He did. But I think what people don't realize about Jose does a lot of stuff off the field, helping people and raising money for this and that, a lot of the really important stuff. They kind of, he doesn't publicize a lot of that, and he's a very caring guy, just a great dude. And when I say that he wasn't really necessarily well liked around the league, but you loved him on your own team. But he was also a handful. There's no doubt about it, because he's a high-strung dude, and he beats to his own drummer. But they're going to put him on the Wall of Excellence this summer. It was a great because he's easily one of the best all-time Blue Jays.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I got his bobblehead up there, along with the new guy Vladdy.
Hey, that reminds me. Hey,
yeah.
Speaking of autographed balls, Getty gave me a baseball signed by all three of them, the Hall of Fame ball.
Wow,
that's my most prized possession.
I can't so. Is it in a bank vault? Where do you keep it?
Oh yeah, it's in a safety deposit box. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious,
that is
amazing. That is fantastic. He wrote the foreword, the intro in your book, Josh Donaldson. Was that an obvious choice for you?
Josh and Josh, here's another handful, right?
I was thinking, but when I saw him, I go, oh, I thought these guys butted heads all the time.
Yeah, but it's like a family, I mean,
Sure.
it's like I still butt heads with all my kids, my own family. But Josh and I, we still stay in touch.
Yeah.
He's got two daughters now, and we just hit it off. We're both kind of rough around the edges. I mean, he was so much more talented, better player than I ever was, but we had a lot. There's just a lot of similarities. At least that's the way I viewed it. And over time, we learned to trust each other. But we butted heads quite a bit. But so I think he's a natural. If he wanted to do it, he was glad to do it. And
oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
He was like the perfect addition, perfect.
Yes.
Not necessarily a Robin to Jose Bautista Batman, but like those two on the same team, one right after the other a lot of the times. Just a fantastic pair.
Dangerous.
Yeah. And he's I think he's injured now, right? But he's with the Yankees.
Yeah, he's age is catching up with him a little bit.
Yeah,
he's got a bad hamstring right now.
Yeah, age catches up with with everybody.
It's a young man's game.
Yeah. How are you enjoying the podcast game, John?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. We do it once a week, and we mainly focus on the Blue Jays, so we get a lot of those guys on there. It's been fun. It's a kind of a feel good show where I get to reminisce with some of the guys that I know, and I know some of them, not all of them, and we just kind of tell baseball stories and kind of it's for the Blue Jays fans, to maybe get to know these guys a little more in depth or something. But I've enjoyed it.
You recently had Kiermaier on.
Yeah, oh yeah, he already owns that place, man. They're one of the most infectious guys you'll ever be around. Just upbeat and just a great player. And Blue Jays fans are so used to watching him when he's down there in Tampa.
Yeah,
Rob stealing hits from us.
Absolutely. And is he? Tell me the truth now, Gibby. Is he the first Blue Jay that finally knows how to bunt?
Ooh, good question. That might be a good question.
There was one game I saw him play, and he just laid down like the perfect bunt.
Oh yeah,
and it was like I haven't seen that in years by the Blue Jays.
Oh yeah, I know it. And he's probably the only one you're going to see do it too. But yeah, well, there's a few other guys that could do it. A few other guys that could do it as well as him, though. That's for sure.
Would you ever ask like Donaldson or Bautista? Like, did that ever come up?
No, I tell you, one time though, Donaldson. There was a runner on. I think there was a runner on second, scoring position.
Yeah,
Donaldson tried to lay down a bunt. And thank God he fouled it off. I don't know what he did at that at bat. He came in the dugout. It's like, well, what are you doing, dude? That might have been his year he won the MVP because I'm trying to advance a runner. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me, dude. How many home runs you got? Let's go. Hit a freaking home run, man. Don't be button. I really thought I was going to say, you just don't think you can hit this pitcher, so you're gonna lay down a bunt so it doesn't give you an at bat. Sacrifice. I get it. Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness. You missed the game at all, John?
Yeah, I really do. Well, you know what I miss? I miss the competition. I miss the boys in the clubhouse, the guys we're talking about here. I miss people up in Canada, man. Toronto, I was there so much, and I really do. When I was back there a couple of weeks ago, it was like, wow, I missed it because it had been a while, and it brought back a lot of good memories.
Yeah. Any chance you're getting back in the game? Have you called it a day? Is there like new chapters for you in your life?
I'd love to manage one more time.
Okay.
That there might be a small crack in that window open, not much, but the game hasn't passed me by, but it's they go for the younger. I mean, the game's run differently now. The front offices are heavy-handed in dictating a lot of things that happen where they can, to a certain extent. And to get one of those jobs, you almost have to be on board.
Yeah.
Say, you know what, I'm willing. Hey, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. So I've been known to speak my mind, maybe a little too often, but put it this way: if it never happens again, I've been so fortunate anyway. I've got no complaint. I've been given more opportunities than most.
Yeah.
Even more deserving people. I've gotten that opportunity, and so I've got zero complaints.
That's awesome. Outside of the podcast that you do once a week, what keeps you busy these days?
Well, my wife's a big photographer. She loves photographing wildlife, right?
Yeah.
So last year, I don't know, have you ever been out to Yellowstone?
No, I've never been.
Yeah, we had neither, but we went out there last May, and then we fell in love with it. So we went 5 times last year, right? So as a matter of fact, we're going back out there in a couple of weeks. But so what I do is she's really good. She's really talented. I just drive her around, drop her off. She shoots pictures of bears, buffaloes, whatever. And that's I get a ton of enjoyment out of there watching her do that. And I'm kind of the gopher, Yeah. And then we bought a new Labrador puppy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like he's testing us, man. It's like they're harder than raising kids, for crying out loud.
That's so true. Gibby, thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you. I'm glad we ended up having the time to do this, man. You're a real pro, and I enjoyed that.